The Reykjavik Review finally has some fresh new Icelandic material to review in the form of the VALHALLA Murders. For those of you who are new here, this channel gets its name from the studio who made Trapped, RVK Studios. I have reviewed both seasons of Trapped. I've also reviewed the Icelandic Case and a movie called And Breathe Normally, but since then I haven't watched or reviewed anything Icelandic, so now we're back at it again, the Reykjavik Review, discussing Reykjavik-y things, live from Sydney. As pretentious as it sounds, and I know it does sound pretentious, I've always felt like when it comes to artistic endeavours, especially music, but also TV series ever since Trapped came out, that Iceland does do things a little bit differently. From what I know, a lot more of their schooling and their public budgets are dedicated to artistic pursuits, and it shows. If you think about the number of well-known Icelandic musicians and bands, their population is hugely overrepresented. They also publish the most books per capita of any country. When you take in something Icelandic, it doesn't feel like you're taking in something commercial. It feels like you're taking in something made by artists. Happily, that is also the case with the VALHALLA Murders, which is a good start because a lot of stuff on Netflix in recent years is just very clearly churned out for the sake of content. But this is not a Netflix original, and honestly, it still annoys me really quite a lot that Netflix are allowed to call things that are not Netflix originals just because they sort of buy that title. This show was made for Icelandic TV, and I like to say that I could tell because it's not trying to beat you over the head with drama and slow-mo and all the tools that Netflix use to convince us that something mediocre is actually amazing. There's a degree of subtlety to this series. The acting from Iceland is always solid. It is harder to tell good acting from bad if you don't speak the language, but I was able to tell in Money Heist, and trust me, no hablo español. So there is quality here in the acting and also the cinematography. This is a dark series, both figuratively and literally. It takes guts and skill to use such low light and still have us, the viewers, be able to follow what's going on, but they pull it off. And this complements the story nicely because, as you may have guessed, it is about a series of murders, but the police also uncover that it seems the murderer is taking revenge for some really dark and gruesome things that happened a number of years ago. This story was okay, it didn't feel particularly new. We've been down this road in crime stories many times before. It's not a completely different story to the story of Trapped, of which the first season is my very favourite TV series ever. But one of the many things that made Trapped special was that it was almost impossible to see how all this stuff was connected. We knew it had to be, but we couldn't quite work it out, even though a lot of information is shown to us very early on. With the VALHALLA Murders, there's really not much to work out. All the data is given to us sort of on a silver platter, and we're just now in a manhunt. We're just waiting to see whether the cops can catch this guy before he kills more people. They kind of shoot themselves in the foot here because we're chasing this guy, but the more we learn about him and this case, the more we're sort of on his side and there's not really much else going on. Both the main detectives also had personal stories that we're also following, but they felt pretty token. I didn't find them particularly engaging. It's just like, well, detectives have to have personal stories, so here they are. That being said, I liked the detectives. I was on their side, so the VALHALLA Murders could have been fine or even pretty good if it had not been for a few things that really let it down. For a start, I had to listen to the music again, and there's nothing really wrong with it, but I can't help feeling like it was written with a budget in mind. Now, I'm not going to get all haughty about orchestral scores versus synth scores. This one is a synth score, and it's okay, but you kind of can't help wondering if it wouldn't have sounded better if played by an orchestra. Additionally, I had a look on IMDb, and this is very strange, but there is no credit to the music at all. There's no credit given to anyone involved in the musical production of this series. So that makes me wonder, and this is very odd, but was it actually stock music? I don't know, and like I said, I'm sure it's a budget thing, but when your fellow Icelanders are showing up with scores like the one we had for Trapped, bringing a score like this isn't bringing a knife to a gunfight. This is more like showing up with a cap gun to a nuclear war. Musically, it actually works okay, but the tonality, the quality of sound, it's not what I expect, especially from Iceland. But where this series really goes wrong is these small moments where cops make decisions that are so stupid and very convenient for the writers. It happens maybe 3 or 4 times when you just think, well, this will be over if you just make a very reasonable decision here. And do they? No. And it's no good defending it by saying that these moments are only a couple of seconds in a 7-hour series, because when decisions are really stupid and clearly something a smart and experienced person would never do, like ever, you spend the rest of the time just thinking about that. And it really annoyed me. And even though I know rationally, logically, that I enjoyed most of this series, the feeling I get when I think about watching this series is just, that was dumb. All in all, this series is okay. I would probably watch a second season even if I didn't have this channel, but that's probably just me because I like everything to do with Iceland. I like knowing what they're up to. It's such a niche country, and I just follow them artistically, whether what they're doing is particularly great or not. And that's kind of the case with this series. It's sort of okay. This particular season, I would maybe mention it in a conversation. Mention being a 6 out of 10, it's just very slightly above neutral. Maybe pushing that up to a suggest, which is a 7 out of 10. Having said that, I definitely preferred this one to Case, the other Netflix one, other Icelandic Netflix one. That series was just weird and kind of gross, actually. So if you're interested in series and movies that are not in English, then make sure you hang around and watch some other videos and subscribe and all that stuff. This was my review of the Valhalla Murders, but I have about 25 other reviews on this channel, and if that's not enough videos for you, then check out my other channel, Days of French and Swedish, where I talk about how to learn languages and how to get stuff done. Thanks for watching this one. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.